been around and doing this. Oh, there we go.
Oh, no. You can keep going.
Perfect. No, that's okay. We've been doing this for over 50 years and, have a remarkable track record in terms of just overall data quality, ensuring that, the people you're reaching out to are going to be the correct individuals.
Awesome. How does it work?
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about our system. What you're seeing on the screen right now is called L2 data mapping. And you're seeing, an image of the district by voter, and it's colored by party identification. This is a web-based system, which we can provide to you at no cost to be able to access and be able to work with up front. And if you are going to, you'd like to purchase records for your district or for a specific area, you can do that within the tool, and you can buy one record or you can buy the entire district. So here's how it works. What you do is you go into the system itself, you log in, and I can even, quickly log out here just so you get an idea that this is web-based. It's very fast. You can see I've got my credentials here. You can reset your password, your username exactly how you want. Now going to log in. Then I'm going to go to DC. And of course, if you only have a single app, you won't go to this home page. You'll go straight into the district app. And basically, and when I say application for each individual state or DC, you're able to then log into. We are now in here. Sorry, I'm just going to close the side panel. Once that's done, you now can start working with the data. Just to show you how granular this can get, I'm going to zoom down to an individual neighborhood. And I'll switch the map view here to imagery. And so now you're actually able to see each of the individual apartment buildings and other things. And for privacy, I'm not going to click on one of these, given that this is public. But essentially, when you come in, you can actually click on one and go all the way down to an individual level, which is really, really, something that's just to give you an idea of the granularity there. You can even search for individual voters. We know a lot of committees have used this specifically for candidate recruitment to try to find individuals who might be ultra highly engaged, people who have donated, et cetera, because we have all of that information in here. And to say maybe you're somebody who we want running for a ward position or for another, neighborhood level or district level position. On the right-hand side is really where how this is going to work. So let's say you wanted to find those people with cell phones in the district who voted in the 2022 general election. Here's how you do it. You would simply go down to voting history, voter history, selected elections, general election, and then I'm going to click on 11/8/22. You're going to see the count change in the lower left-hand corner. We have currently selected individuals. I'm going to click on click to show to be able to show the addresses. It's 156,000 individual addresses. And then I'm going to say, okay, so among these individuals, I also would like to find cell phones. Yes. Looks like we have our own. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, can you enlarge? Are you able to enlarge your screen a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Let me see if I can do that. Hopefully this helps just a little bit here.
Okay. Thank you.
No, not a problem. So now I've got the cell phone number exists, 81,000. And actually, you know what? Let's take one other select individual demographics. We'll go to party identification, and I'm going to select Democrat and nonpartisan. And once that comes up, and you can see that you're getting these counts in what feels like sort of a real-time experience. You're not waiting for drop downs or other things like that. And you can see, and that's a lot of people use this for analysis. So now you've got, okay, 77,868 individuals who have the contact method I want, who are Dems or nonpartisans, and who voted in the 2022 election. And if you wanted to do, let's say, 3 out of 4, you could say go to the last 4 even years. And of course, we have local, municipal, all these, elections that are not generals and primaries, but generals right on top. And we'll say, select only voters who have voted in 3 or more, select these 4, and then we've got 84,420. Fantastic. We go up to universes. click on the plus sign. And this allows us to create our universe based on the selects that you see here. We're going to call this high prop for high propensity, cell phone, text, contact, whatever you want to say for texting. You can put in a description, you can save the universes as they are, and then you can use currently selected filters. Now under here, you can sample people if you just want to pull 1,000 individuals, if you're under a strict budget. You can also combine, intersect, expand, reduce to one per household, all those kinds of what we call the Boolean logic tools that allow you to make selections and combine and merge other things. From there, I'm going to create the universe. Takes just a second here, 6 seconds, close, go down to universes. And then at this point, you can purchase the data where you could say, okay, now I just want these records, these 84,000 records. Or if you've already purchased it, or let's say you've purchased access to the district, you simply can go in here, click on download, new, data export in CSV format, next, columns. You can do simple, extended, or L2ID, which are standard formats. And then you see I have all these custom formats that I've created over time. Well, you can do that too. You can go in and say custom field sets, and you create these and then keep them. So let's say you want first name, last name. We'll put in, let's say individual demographics will include gender and telephone. We'll go down to cell phone. Okay, now you've got your cell phone number there. We'll call this cell format. This will now save in your system, so you never have to do this selection again, but now you've done it. You can say use, generate. And now you're generating an actual CSV file that can be loaded directly into any platform, your texting vendor, etc. If you download it with a voter ID, not the L2 ID, but the actual state or district voter ID, you can do that as well, and then it can load into Van or into other systems like that. So you have a lot of options here when working with L2. So that's creating a universe in a really, really quick way. What makes this platform a little bit different and what makes L2 a little bit different is sort of the variety of data and then the ability to load data back into the tool. Now, you can't add new names to this, unfortunately. It's not a CRM, but what you can do is you can match back, you can match back existing databases. So I'm going back in here. Sometimes it does that. It'll refresh if we're doing a data refresh, and the system will quickly kick you out, but you can come back in. It's very rare that that happens, though. Then what you can do by putting data back in, let's say you have a list of 100,000 records of people you want to contact from another voter file provider, or the, wherever you're getting your data from now, and you have state voter IDs associated with those data. You can go into private data and take, let's say 30,000 of the records have a cell phone, 70,000 don't, or 30,000 have an email and 70,000 don't. You could take the 70,000 records that don't have the contact information that you want, and then you can actually add it in here in private data as a branch by clicking on this little plus sign. And I know there's a lot of text here, but essentially all you're doing is making sure the column header says voter state voter ID. You then can load that in, and then you can find out how many of those people from your other vendor have a cell phone or an email in L2 that you don't currently have. So you're able to bolster by yourself your contact information. Now, you can also reach out to us directly, and we can, of course, do it for you if you don't want to learn the technical side of it, but it's really very quick and straightforward, and our team can take you through it, allowing you to be able to do this yourself. I'll pause here for any questions people might have about the system, about the data.
Now, you said that the data could be used for other vendors. Like, can you give an example of what people would use this data for? What would they use it to do?
Sure, no, absolutely. So really the whole idea of this data, all of these different selections that are in here allow you to export the data for context. So direct mail is obviously going to be a big one. You've got telephone contact data for phone calls and texting. You have, and that of course includes cell phones and landlines. We have email addresses for direct emailing purposes. We also have the ability to load the lists in a Facebook format. So if you go into universes and you go into, let's say, DC Ward 2 selects, we take this list, you can export this in a Facebook CSV format. So you can load it into Facebook and target people via any Meta platform. So that's Facebook, Instagram, Threads. You can now, push advertising there. You can even, if you come to us and say, hey, I'm actually going to be using, I want to do something on Twitter. I want to do something across, another platform. L2 is fully integrated via a company called LiveRamp to push to any digital platform you might be working with. And that would be something like the Trade Desk or Xandr, or actually Xandr stopped doing political ads just this week, so not Xandr. But any other political advertising firm that's out there who you might be working with. Verizon's another big one. We work a lot with Centro. So any of those we can then work with.
Thank you. And when you mention universe, what is that?
Sure. A universe is any selection you make. So I'll give you another example of one, and I'll show you some of this, the little bit more granular. So we'll go to area selections. I'm going to go to county just because sub-selected under county, this is where all your precincts and voting districts are. So you've got all your precincts here. Sorry, let me just get rid of this box. So if you go down, let's go to precinct 16. So I click on the precinct and you're going to see that it's going to give us just this very specific area. Okay, great. So we've got precinct 16. So now within that, we're going to go to ethnicity, broad ethnic groupings, and we're going to select likely African Americans, and we're going to select we'll just keep it. That's only 380 individuals. So we'll just keep those individuals there. So precinct 16, likely African Americans from L2. We'll go to universes, click on the plus sign, and you can see next to universes, when I click on that plus sign, this allows you to create a new universe. So this is sort of the common denominator, the way to save any of your data. So we'll call it precinct 16. Likely AA, create. Simply created, and now your universe is saved. So now this selection that you just made is now going to be saved in the system here. And this is what allows you to then combine it with another universe, or if you just want to export it, you can then download it. The nice part about L2 is when you buy a record, let's say you don't buy the whole district or your whole district, whether it's a council district or something else, you basically say, I just want to buy a la carte. When you buy those records, you can go back into precinct 16, and let's say you want to buy all voters who voted in G22 or in the latest, local election. You can find those individuals, and if it overlaps at all with those 380 individuals you've already pulled, you're not going to pay for those twice within a 1-year period. You own those data in the tool for 1 year with updates. So as we add phone numbers, demographic data, consumer information, et cetera, you're getting the benefit of all that for those people you've already purchased.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
How much is the service, or
Sure.
do you have more?
Do I have more?
I mean, are you going to continue with the presentation? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'm happy to talk pricing, and I can show you, I just want to show a few key selections that we have within the tool itself. So basically the data costs 2.5 cents per record if you're starting. So if you're if you're buying just a handful of records and you just want your precinct or your area, it's 2.5 cents per record. Obviously we'll do a discounted rate once you hit 200,000 records. So for the whole district, the pricing would drop off for that. So that's one thing. That's that price. If you want to add verified email addresses, that typically costs an additional 4 cents per email. So that's something that typically does cost more, but you're only paying for those emails that match back to your file. So if you have 100,000 records and only 30,000 of them have emails, well, you're only going to pay for those 30,000. And that's 4 cents. And that's it. That's really the complexity of the pricing right there. A few of the interesting selections that we have as part of our database that I do like to show are people who are, and I'll go through these relatively quickly. You have new to state. And by the way, I'm going to put up my email and contact information at the end. Please email me, reach out so you can get a demo. The best way to go through this is just to play with it, make selects, do all that. Underneath all of these different areas, you've got a ton of different selections. There's over 650 standard fields, but just to go through some of these, you've got people new to state or new to the district in this case. You can see where they moved from, the date they moved, their previous state's party affiliation, and how they voted in some of those other states, which is pretty interesting. You have other individual demographic information, including party ID, obviously some of the standard voter file information. We have reg date and official reg date. Official reg date is from the district itself, whereas the registration date is when an individual first registered in DC. And an area as transient as DC, this can be extra important. So if somebody, say, lives in DC and then they move to Maryland and then they move back to DC, they will start their official reg date will be when they moved back to DC. L2 will have tracked that person using a combination of their state voter ID and the national change of address system, and basically know that this individual moved out of DC and then back to DC. And so we'll keep that original date of registration. If you want their official date, you can also have that too. Under ethnicity, this is something where we are extremely different than a lot of other organizations, where we do have broad ethnic categories that's similar, but then individual ethnic categories where you can actually, break down into very specific subgroupings. So specifically, if I went to say East and South Asian, and you're trying to speak to a very specific population, you can see that, Indian, Hindu, Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, very different in terms of your communication and outreach. You might be looking for something different. So this is a way to be able to really get more granular.
How do you get that data?
It's a great question. So with that, what we do, L2 is we partner with Princeton University's Demographic Research Department, and they initially, a professor named Kosuke Amai, built his research around L2's national voter file of how to identify correctly individual ethnic categorizations. And what he did that was different at the time, and it sounds simple now, but 20 years ago, it wasn't so simple, where they utilized, instead of just surname, as many demographic researchers do, surname and maybe census data. What we're using is given name as well as census data. So we created a massive table of names, naming table, incorporating first, middle, and last name, and then compare that to census data to be able to find likely African Americans, because that's where you're trying to really find people in certain areas. And what it's allowed L2 to do is, unlike other organizations, basically say, okay, well, let's not only look at surname and guess, but let's look at first name, middle name, last name. First name and middle name sometimes have different clues within them. And then from there, the census block information gives us some additional context So it allows us to, somebody, a friend of mine who works in the Houston mayor's office said to me, he's like, you're going to have me as Hispanic because all of my neighbors are Hispanic. Everyone in our area and really his census block is Hispanic and he's white. And of course, I look him up and he is the lone dot. And I colored
Oh,
the map by ethnicity and he was the blue dot, which was white. So,
uh,
yeah.
okay. So it's at least 90% accurate, you'd say?
I would say we've done testing on it and it's gone anywhere from 93 to 97% accurate, depending on where you're looking. So
Okay.
yes, it's extremely accurate.
Okay. And you would have you would have those folks' email addresses and phone numbers?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't have everybody, but
Okay, okay,
we do have quite a few. And
okay,
one thing that's important is we do provide data to the US House and Senate, as well as the representative for the district, as one of our clients. So what we're doing is we are constantly getting data back from constituent communications and are
okay,
able to clean it and buy new email addresses. So you're
okay,
getting the benefit of that.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, those are sort of the core selects we have here. I will just quickly show you in terms of cell phones. District wide, we have around 183,000 of those. And then if I go down to private data here, you can see we've got our email addresses, which we're updating on a quarterly basis. So if you do buy emails as part of your subscription, which I told you is a little bit of a different cost, you're actually able to come in here and you're able to see how many emails you have. So it's opening the branch right now. It takes an extra second for emails. We'll see, it's usually around 30%. While that's opening, I will show you as well. We also do have contribution information in here as well. So both federal political contributor as well as all of the different consumer-based contribution information. So if you're looking for donors, this is another way to be able to reach out in a much more budget conscious way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who normally reaches out to you? Do you provide the service to organizations as well? Any organization outside of campaigns?
Yes, absolutely. So we will reach excuse me. We will have campaigns will specifically reach out, neighborhood organizations. We work a lot with DC neighborhood groups. That seems to be some of the bigger groups that we end up working with. And let me see, because I believe we have some of the other subcategories in our area selections. Yeah, we
You were looking at emails. I don't want to distract you. I was just
no, that's okay. I'm bopping around a little bit here. I don't know why it looks like it didn't open up here, but when you're looking at, so we've got these community council districts and then the sub community council districts. So we have done quite a few of those, within the district. So you can see there's quite a few. So people will come in and they'll just get their one specific area. And again, L2 has kind of been known for, whereas other data providers are they're very focused around Senate races or presidential races. L2 has found our sweet spot among sort of smaller size campaigns, and we love them. I mean, school board races or state ledge races or anything like that. That really is who we end up working with. So you don't have to be worried. Oh, this looks expensive, or this is not for me. This is a way to get data for a lot of down ballot races across the country.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
So
for those who normally use Van or Vote Builder,
mhm.
this can easily, like, say, emails could, be transferred into that database, or maybe even any other database that someone might already have, like an existing database.
Yeah, exactly. The nice part is, so when you build your universe, let's say, again, we went with this 380 individual universe. When you create your CSV export, and I know I'm doing this fast. Obviously, if you do want to move forward or are interested in this, happy to take you through it. But you want to include, all of the information you want. So let's say you do want to include emails. You can say, okay, well, L2 has a bunch of really good emails I want. So I'm going to definitely include the address there. But I'm also going to include the state voter ID. And I know it's the district, but it's state voter ID in our standard taxonomy. Just keep that in there. And then you can say, okay, emails with voter ID, save, use, generate. And now it's going to create a file that makes sure you include all of these records with their emails and the state voter ID. You can take that and then load it back into any other system that, has that feature. Van does happen to have a what's called a native uploader, allowing you to load this back into their system.
Okay, that's great. And then, like you said, you're able to walk people through once, if they purchase this service and help them figure out how to make this happen.
Absolutely. We have a whole support team. This is what they do all day, is go through data mapping, making sure people are up on this. We also have a 10-person operations team, and all they do is order fulfillment. So if you say, I like this data, I don't have time to learn a tool, I don't want to get into it, I don't have a campaign manager, I just want to get the data as quickly as possible, you can then say to us, here's a list of a bunch of people who I don't have email addresses for, I don't have phone numbers for, can you match them back? We can do it. The biggest difference is there is a minimum. The minimum is $250. So we try to keep that low. Most others in the space are around $2,000 to $3,000 for their minimum. So $250 for a very straightforward match. And you'll be getting the highest quality phone numbers or email addresses possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
How can anyone reach you?
Perfect. I will drag this slide over here so you can see my contact. Can you all see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. You see a contact. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got the map up there as well, but basically, my name is Paul Westcott, again, EVP at L2, and there's my contact information. Please feel free to reach out. If you reach out to the info at, or go to our website, and there's like a little chat box, you will get somebody 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern. We have people in every time zone, including Hawaii. The staff I've often wanted to visit, but don't get to. But we try to be as accessible and, easy to work with as possible.
Okay, awesome. And you're able to do, in case someone is thinking about doing this for their organization, you're able to do this. We call it a demo, but it's short for demonstration. You're able to do this demonstration for those organizations as well, correct?
Absolutely. It's what we do all day. We go through the platform, make sure you can see. And, when we do individual organizational demos, we'll say, usually at the beginning, I'll say, what do you want to see? What are you trying to accomplish? And then we'll tailor that demo to make sure we're not just pitching you on here's what works best, but really, what will make sure you're getting what you need out of it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for doing this demonstration for us. And this is a great resource for campaigns and organizations. And with that, have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the invite and excited to be working with the party.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.